is what I tell people. Anytime you can humanize yourself, it's a good deal. So if you're ready,
Yeah,
I am.
if flight wants to kick in.
Yeah, totally. All right. Good deal. Okay. So Clay Mobley with Mobley Motorsport. We got Rob Pellosie on. Rob, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, how you doing, Clay?
Doing well,
Thanks for
doing
having
well.
me on.
Of course.
So yeah, my name is Rob Pellosie. Live down here in Eustis, Florida, which is a small town. We're about 45 minutes north of Orlando.
Nice.
And
Is that technically Mount Doral, right? Is that where your dentistry is?
yeah, my office is in Mount Dora. It's about 20 minutes from here. So there's
Okay.
three small towns right near each other: Eustis, Tavares, and Mount Dora.
Yeah, nice. So would you call Sebring your home track? How does that work out?
That's an interesting question. So um, when I started racing
Yeah.
when I was much younger, and I was with Skip Barber.
Okay.
I was doing their Southern series in their Formula Dodge. It was Formula Dodge back then.
Wild.
Regional
Okay.
series.
Yeah.
Sebring was the Southern base,
Yeah.
so I probably had the majority of my laps at Sebring at that point.
Okay.
Now I probably have more laps at Road Atlanta. That's
Yeah.
kind of even though it's not close to me. That's probably
Yeah.
a little bit more of a home track.
And that's interesting, right? Because I think Road Atlanta and Sebring are two very historic tracks for North America. And
Absolutely.
I think anytime I've talked to a European driver, if you ask them, I always like to ask, oh, what's your favorite track in America? Because they'll always ask, what's your favorite track in Europe? And, they're usually going to say something around Sebring, Road Atlanta, Daytona, or Watkins.
Yeah.
I think that's like the top four. But no, that's neat. We'll get into that, later. Would like to just kind of get in how we met, right? We met each other in WRL. I was running around with the team, and we crossed paths at a couple different racetracks, but we really met in HSR, Historic Sports Car Racing.
That's right.
We were both racing with Denton Cardin Racing, right? So,
Yeah.
do you recall that? Does anything stand out about that weekend?
Yeah, that was my first weekend running the Mitty.
Okay.
As you said, I was with Denton Cardin Racing.
Yeah.
I had done a number of events with them in WRL.
Yeah.
And Casey, one of the team owners, told me, "Man, you've got to come do this event in Mitty. It's huge.
Yeah.
There's a good crowd turnout. The energy is awesome." So I was renting one of his Miatas, one of his MX-5s, the NC.
Yep.
And you, if I recall correctly, were there in your E30.
Yep.
That you had completely wrapped in a liquid moly livery.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thanks. I designed that livery. I regret selling that car. I regret it every day. But I designed that livery. Liqui Moly was kind enough. They were helping me on some other things, and they wrapped the car for me. That was a beautiful car. But I think it's also the DCR. What is it? The 213, the 214. I think
Yep.
they've kept that same blue and gray livery, and those are pretty darn iconic themselves. You also rent other cars. What is it? What do you how do I say are like an arrive and drive guy? You can
Yeah.
afford it. You show up. It's nice machinery. You're ready to go. You just got to put your helmet on and get after it, right? So, have you ever thought of owning your own race car? And what are the downsides, upsides to just being able to show up, get after it?
Well, absolutely, man. I mean, I think the majority of us are car guys at heart, right? So the idea of owning your own race car is an awesome idea.
Yeah.
And I don't think you necessarily have to spend big bucks to have fun. I mean, the
course.
Miata is a perfect example.
Yeah.
For me, it just comes down to resources for everybody, right? Whether
Yep.
it's time or money. And while money is certainly a factor, time is even more of a factor for me.
Of course.
I'm happily married. It's been 13 years.
Congratulations.
And in order to keep it that way, I try to make sure that I spend enough time with the family. I've got two young boys
Oh wow.
that we focus on.
Yeah.
They're most important. And then, as I said, I'm a dentist, and I own my own practice. Wife is also a dentist and owns her own practice. So when you look at all the time that's demanded of that, I know that I wouldn't have the time to properly prep a car,
Yep.
get it to the track myself, and still have the energy to drive it,
Yeah.
bring it home, break it down. that would be something maybe when the kids are away at college,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit older.
Yeah.
There's a lot more time involved.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I think it'd be very cool. But for me, the only option that works is if I can find an opportunity that I can afford to do and have everything sorted for me. It's going to be a lot safer
Yep.
because I'm not going to be in the garage, at all hours trying to make sure the car's squared away. I know it's being done professionally. So it gives me a lot more confidence, and it allows me to just focus on the driving and having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. I think that's a great way to frame it. I think, I was before the call, I was thinking about it just in terms of price, but definitely, you know, it makes sense that you say that and you have kids because I still have a low level of self preservation. It's it's no issue for me at the moment to get in something sketchy and just give it hell, but it definitely makes sense. The older you get, the older your kids get, you want to be around for their 18th birthday. So that makes sense.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So your pathway into racing, how did that?
Okay.
You mentioned Formula Dodge. So is that where you started? Did you go to a school for
It
it?
is.
Okay.
It is. So I grew up watching racing with my dad on TV. He was always into planes and cars. He was
Yeah.
actually a flight surgeon in the Air Force.
Oh,
So
wow.
he flew backseat in F-16s, F-15s, F-4s, did all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then had an appreciation for cars. He had a
Yeah.
Mustang growing up that he wrenched on. He had a couple Porsches while I was growing up. So I grew up watching Winston Cup. We would watch Formula One. We would watch Indy. But it was always something that was just on TV. It was unattainable. It was entertainment.
Yep.
And then my senior year in high school, I struck up this friendship with a guy that was in my class. He was kind of a quiet guy, kind of kept to himself until you got to know him.
Yeah.
And towards the end of senior year, we started talking. His parents were separated. His dad lived in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I found out that his dad was kind of an agent for up-and-coming karters that were trying to make their way into open wheel.
Yeah.
And he represented a lot of guys. You probably know their names. And he was also, at the time, pretty involved with Ferrari. He published a couple books on history of Ferrari.
Yeah.
And he was very involved with the Ferrari Challenge series at the time.
Nice.
And so I got kind of excited, like, wow, this is something that people can do. So I had the chance to meet him when he came down for graduation. And I said, is this something I could get into? And he said, no, you should have been in a go-kart, since the time you were like 5.
Okay.
And I was kind of heartbroken.
Yeah.
He said, but if you want to see if you're confident at all, I suggest you go to Skip Barber Racing School. And this was back when Skip Barber was in its heyday. They had the 2-day school, the 3-day school, the
Yeah.
advanced activities.
This
They
was
had
like when they were on Jerry Seinfeld's refrigerator.
Exactly, same time
Yeah.
frame. This was late 90s, like 98, 99.
Yeah.
So he said, I know the instructors. Find a 3-day school that you're going to do. Let me know the dates, and I'll see if I know who's there, and I'll ask them to, tell me what they think of you when you're done.
Yeah.
So after my freshman year of college, I went to Summit Point, West Virginia, and did
Yeah.
a 3-day school.
Nice. Which I'm like an
And-
hour and a half from right now. I live in Northern Virginia.
Okay,
I
we
should-
did the Jefferson circuit.
Yeah. Heck yeah. That's really cool.
So it was cool. So the school cars at that point were no wings, H-pattern gearbox, and they
Okay.
were on treaded tires. And it was a fantastic program. I mean, you do
Yeah.
a lot of class time, and then you go out and run some activities.
Yep.
Back to the class time. We would we do stuff in the neons first, and
Okay.
then they put in the school car.
Yeah.
And I finished for 3 days, had an absolute blast. And I was actually walking. They give you your certificate when you finish. And I was walking out the door to drive back to college, and I didn't know if my friend's dad had made good on his word or not. And they stopped me going out the door, and they said they had talked to him, and they said, "Do you have any plans?" And I said, "Not really. I don't know how much it would cost, where I'd go from here if I'm good enough." And they said, "You'd probably be a good, top 5 runner, like in our regional series." So then that started the quest to try to unearth some budget.
Yep.
And I had a Florida prepaid college plan at the time. I was going to school in North Carolina. I was going to Elon University.
Oh yeah.
So I had to utilize the college plan.
Yeah.
And I was racking my brain, like, where can I find money? Where can I find money? And I came up with this scheme. And I came to my parents and I said, how about I transfer back home to UCF
Okay.
and I used the Florida prepaid plan. I've got 2 years of college left.
Yeah.
Any money that you would have spent at Elon, how about I use that to go racing?
Yeah.
So it's an, you know,
I love
it's even for you.
Yeah.
And of course it was a no.
Darn.
And
I got so excited
we went back and forth, and eventually they said, all right, if you're that committed that you're willing to leave, you know, your whole 2 years of experience of at Elon and come home and do it, then put your money where your mouth is. So I moved home and I started the Southern Series. And at that point they were using the RT2000. So it was a 2-frame chassis, fiberglass body, had a front wing, rear wing, 5-speed sequential box, and they were running slicks. So it was a pretty cool little car.
Definitely.
And we ran, I think it was 7 race weekends.
And this is still with Skip, with Skippy.
With Skippy, yep.
Yeah, okay.
So it was like Friday practice, Saturday, Sunday races.
Yeah.
And Sebring was the home base, and then we did Daytona.
Nice.
We did Moroso, which became PVIR, which became, you know, it's in limbo right now as to whether it's going to exist. And also Homestead. And that was, from what I've been told since then, was a pretty stacked generation of drivers. We had like Jonathan George, who's gone on to coach and be very successful, like LMP2. The National Series was also running then, sponsored by Racer Magazine. It was invitation only.
Wow.
AJ Allmendinger was in that.
Yeah.
I believe Scott Speed was in there at that point, but I could be wrong with that one. But there were some names, if you went back and looked at the list, you would recognize.
Yep.
But in the regional series, I had a couple third-place finishes. I had a second place. I actually very briefly led a race in the rain at Homestead.
Heck yeah.
But, you know, let's be real. I came from zero experience.
Yep.
And when you've got like 15 minutes to prove yourself, and this is before iRacing, not only did I put a tremendous amount of pressure on myself, it was probably unrealistic expectations.
Yep.
So not a whole lot of time to grow and build experience. I did the best I could.
Especially at that age.
What's that?
Especially at that age.
Yeah.
Because at that age, I mean, I'm 28, right? So I'm not like super far from when you were at that age. And we put so much emphasis on every little thing in our life. I think when we're driven and passionate about what we do.
Right.
I mean, it's like Enzo Ferrari himself is in the stands ready to write the check for you. So.
And not only that, I took the wrong approach because I was a young testosterone-filled kid that was like, I got to go to the front. So for me, it was like, because I knew I was coming from so far behind and I wasn't the fastest.
Yep.
It's like if I wasn't scaring myself coming into each break zone, I probably wasn't going fast enough.
That's so funny.
So as a result, you know, it's sloppier than it should have been. Like if I had somebody there to kind of rein me in, maybe I could have built a little bit more productive pace. But they also had that scholarship ladder to kart at that point.
Yeah.
Where if you finished first in a regional series, you get to go to a runoff. And I believe you had to go to a runoff and you could win a full season in the National Series, which was in the same car, but it went all over the country. And that was invitation only.
Yeah.
And then the winner of that series would go to the Barber Dodge Pro Series, which followed the kart circuit around. If you won that, they'd give you a big check to go to Atlantics.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was like, I've got to make this work with this small pot of money I've got. And I've got to either find some interest along the way or try to win some money. So I ended up at the end of the second season. I did get invited to the National Series.
Yep.
And I was graduating college at that point. I got a marketing degree because I figured, let me figure out how to market myself.
Yeah.
Elon had a program called the Business of NASCAR, and you could go around and tour the NASCAR shops and kind of see the business side. Yeah. So I was really trying to angle like how to turn this into a living.
Yeah.
And at the time with my business degree, I figured if I could land a job as a pharmaceutical sales rep, I could live at home and dump all my money into the National Series and keep the show going.
Yeah.
The job market when I got out was not great. And I ended up going through a bunch of different sales jobs trying to find a lucrative one that would get me there.
Yep.
I had a couple sponsorship proposals that I had sent out that were running up the chain at 2 different companies. And after probably 6 or 7 months, finally got to a level of decision maker that said, we're going to keep all our money in NASCAR because NASCAR was booming at that point.
Yep.
And open wheel was kind of in a weird spot.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, that would have been around, like, the Jeff Gordon era.
And it was also when IRL and it was when the split happened, like right around then.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So Oaklandville was kind of diluted at that point. But I got to a point at the end of it, and I was like, man, even if I would have landed one of those sponsorship deals that was for one season,
Yep.
and it wouldn't have paid me, it would have put me in a car, and then I got to start this whole process over again.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, I'm also in the phase of life where, well, now I'm supposed to try to start a family. Now I'm supposed to try to find a wife. I've got to support that.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking back to the Skip Barber days, and there were young guns that were up and coming.
Yep.
And then there were some businessmen that were successful that were doing it for fun.
Yeah.
And some of those guys were so successful that they were dabbling in Skip Barber. They went on to like Carrera Cup,
Yep.
Lamborghini stuff, IMSA. So I was like, you know what? I just need to try to make my own way. Maybe I'll never make enough money to go professionally, but
yeah,
I need to try to. And I remembered one of the guys was a dentist, and I thought, I grew up building models. I was always really involved with the sciences. I come from a family of physicians.
Yep.
So I'm thinking maybe I'll look into that. And long story short, I went and shadowed a family friend who's a dentist. It was something I could see myself doing.
Yep.
And I had no prereqs for dental school, so I moved back home. Went to community college to start taking the prereqs. Started waiting tables, and started over from square one. And at that point, I figured racing was probably gone.
Okay.
But it got me on a path that I liked, so that's okay. Like maybe that was the purpose.
Yeah.
And so that's why it had been probably 18 years. There was an 18-year gap in there.
Okay.
From the time I finished Skip Barber until I met Casey and got into WRL.
That is crazy. I mean, it's just, I think it's such a phenomenal story because it's congratulations on being able to do it at that level, at that age. And I've met your dad. I mean, I've met him a few times, right? Like, hats off to them for believing in you and saying, like, yeah, here's your college money.
I was very fortunate, and it was pretty special.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's really...
If I were in their shoes, I don't know that I could have made the same decision.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know anything about racing.
Exactly.
They just knew that I was passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's phenomenal. But I think what you're touching there on the end is very true. I know it's true for me, and I know it's true for a lot of other guys in the paddock. It's the fact of racing is expensive, but who said it? I think Childress said it, that...
Johnny Sabatis.
Yeah, you know the quote.
Yeah, the best way to make a small fortune in racing is to start with a big one.
Yes, exactly. So it's like... Yeah. I saw it as well when I started in the paddock in Champ and WRL, where I would work and I would drive. I'd work and drive, and I realized, like, you kind of stop and you look around. I said, everybody here are 35 and old. If they're not 35 and older, their dads are paying for them to drive, but they're all 35 and older. They're pretty successful, and they can afford to come do this, and they have pretty cool lives.
Yeah,
and so that's what, I mean, really, I've always been a driven individual, but I mean, I attribute, a fair bit of my success to the fact of wanting to go racing.
It's definitely a motivator. And I got that wrong. Shawnee is the son. I believe it was Felix Sabatis.
Okay.
That said that.
Yeah.
But I do have to credit. So, I have this 18-year gap, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm married to, I met my wife in dental school.
Okay.
Everything I talk about is cars. Like, it's just in my blood, right? So she knew eventually that I had this past racing experience. I set up my first iRacing sim on a laptop in dental school with a little table wheel. And once we graduated, she grew up riding horses. Once we graduated, we were working. I got her a gift certificate one Valentine's Day to go to a local stable and ride. She hadn't ridden in years.
Yep.
And she had such a great time. She was like, man, how do we get you back into racing? And I was like, well, that's cute, because I didn't know anything about amateur level endurance racing.
Yeah.
I figured there was like dirt track up to NASCAR, and there was like karting up to IndyCar, and neither one of them are cheap. So I thought, well, that's a nice idea, honey. You're very sweet, but she's like, there's got to be something. So I called one of my old Skip Barber coaches that I was still friends with on Facebook. His name's Grant Mayman.
Okay. Yeah.
He and I were pretty good friends during the Skip Barber days.
Yep.
And we lost touch for the most part. We were just kind of casual Facebook friends.
Yep.
But I contacted him on Facebook, and we had a call one night over some beers. And he had mentioned things like WRL and Champ Car, and he knew Casey, and he said, "Why don't we do this? Why don't you find a way to get up to Road Atlanta? We'll rent a car at a track day. We'll go to a track day. We'll rent a car from Casey, and we'll just knock the rust off and see how you feel." So that's what I did, and that's how I met Casey and Casey's dad, and got some coaching, and at the end of the event, Casey was like, if you want to come do some WRL events with us, it'd probably be fun. And I was like, I probably need to do a number of these, track days. And he's like, no, you'll be all right. You'll figure it out. So I went and did CODA in 2019. It was the season ender.
Yeah.
And that's when I met Jason Workman. He was a co-driver of mine.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And we ended up winning in our class. I can't remember if it was GP4 or GP3 then. But we won on Sunday, I believe it was. Which was pretty cool. And then then I was hooked again. It was awesome.
And Jason, that's got to be a cool teammate, I think.
Oh, what a wealth of knowledge, man. I didn't know anything about him. Grant told me that he was going to be driving with me. He was like, this guy's all the time. Yeah. Like, you just pick his brain, just listen to him. And I talked to Jason yesterday. We're still good friends. And he's such a humble guy for all the stuff that he's done. Yeah. And he's an open book as far as, you ever have any setup questions, any racing questions. Yeah. It's just awesome.
That's my thing. Is like, how many guys do we know that have raced against Kimi Räikkönen?
Right?
I mean, it's insane. It's crazy.
That guy's story is incredible.
It's crazy.
That guy came real late and was like, I could do that. Yeah. Except he didn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Kimi's got a phenomenal story. He's hands down my favorite F1 driver.
No, I'm talking about Jason.
Oh, sorry. Yes, no, Jason, I agree. Sorry.
Kimi also had very limited experience, but Jason's story is pretty cool.
No, it is. I think Jason's story is insane. We were talking about it again, last night on the phone, and he went in a little deeper than I actually knew, because we're gonna have him on the pod as well.
Okay, I don't want to ruin that story, but I hope he tells you about how he was caddying for somebody, and that's what got him started.
Okay, I think I've heard a little bit of that part, so I'll definitely poke and prod.
Yeah,
we'll get it out of him. So that's cool. 2019 CODA. Your first WRL race, really your first race back in 18 years. Yep. What were you thinking then? What were your emotions going from 18 years? You're now back into your dream, even if it's amateur level, like whatever. Yeah. You're back in the car. Yeah. You're doing it. What do you think?
I think a much different approach from when I was younger, when it was like everyone's got to know how fast I am immediately.
Yeah.
It's endurance racing. There's a very real possibility you could crash yourself and wipe out others with you.
Yep.
It's a long race. You got to hand this car over to somebody.
Yep.
Just get the laps in.
Yeah.
And Grant gave me a good mantra: make it boring. Like if you're scaring yourself, you're going too fast. Take a methodical approach.
Yep.
You chip, and if you're taking measured bites, it's not going to scare you. It shouldn't scare you.
Yeah.
So keep it boring.
I've got a friend getting ready for the champ. I think it's champ at Road Atlanta in February, and he's like, it's gonna be his first race, and he's all hyped up. And I said, look, if you can't sing a song on the back straight, then you're probably going too fast. Like, just bring it down. You're there to save the car, keep the tires ready. You know how it is. It's a different mindset when you're endurance racing versus sprint racing.
Totally, because you could try to drive at 10/10s.
Yeah.
But when you get to hour 11, you're not going to have any brakes left.
Yeah, totally.
You gotta have something that'll make it to the finish line.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of angry co-drivers as well.
Yeah.
I've been handed some what I call wet diapers before. If you're like the third or fourth driver in the stack, it can be fun. Maybe getting in at night, but or being like I love being able to take the checkers, even if I'm not like in a podium position. Taking the checkers, I think I always get emotional. I always tear up, but sometimes you're like. Sometimes the car is tracking like this. Let me use. I've never been able to use. So look, actually, this is behind you. How cool is that?
Very cool.
How cool. I'll send this to you.
I knew you were a BMW guy.
Yeah, the car is tracking like this going down the straight. It's like it just should not be on track anymore. That's so funny. Yeah. So yeah, it's a different mindset, I think, in endurance and in sprint car. And if you watch the episode with Eric Chakowski, who started in sprint racing and then has recently had his first endurance experience, he kind of said the
Yep.
same thing. He's like, I got in, and I quickly realized that I'm even if I could hold this pace for 2 hours, I'm not supposed to.
Right.
So
I was actually his co-driver at that event, the 24
yeah,
hour
you
PR.
were actually. I think it was the
Yep.
first time I saw you in a year. I was
Yeah.
so glad to be
They've
able to
been
get
quite a
down there.
while.
Yeah. So that's cool. I love, and that was also with Casey.
Yep.
Casey Carden, Denton Carden Racing, Charles Carden. I think they put on a phenomenal program.
Man, great guys, super confident, very, very patient.
Yep.
You can be really confident when you get in that car
Yep.
that it can't be any better.
And he will also, like, I've never seen him not make someone faster. Like,
Yep.
there's only been a couple times, truthfully, because it's probably to my detriment. But when I'm at the track, if I'm not in the car, then I'm running around making content somewhere. I just think it's fun, right? But
Yep.
there's only been a couple times where we actually sat down and looked at data. But when we did, I mean, it's like a night and day. It's like a bomb goes off in my head, and
Yes.
it just makes sense.
Yep.
He has a way of translating the telemetry on the screen to
Yep.
getting a few seconds faster even throughout a day. Literally, I think at the Mitty, from my first like time out confidently where I went out and practiced and really gave it hell to my fastest lap was like 12 seconds.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of that I think is from getting in, just sitting in with Casey for a second and getting some instruction, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. He does break it down in a way that's very easily digestible. And he's not going to overwhelm you,
Totally.
talking about every corner. He's going to give you the biggest chunks. Work on that first.
Yep.
You nail that down, we'll move forward.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, he's got a great way of putting it, but he's also had tons of experience. He coaches out at Porsche Racing School. He coaches for Ferrari Challenge, race director in IMSA.
He's run some Xfinity races. He's run some ARCA races.
Yeah.
He's run some IMSA stuff. I mean,
Yeah, let alone like
he's done it all.
his coaching experience. He's also raced in a lot of pro series and leagues, and
Yep.
I mean, he's got it going on, no doubt. I think he's down at COTA this weekend coaching with WRL. So
Okay.
either race directing or coaching, one of them, maybe both. Who knows? So now you are in NPO1 with someone
Yes.
that you met in Skippy, right?
Yes. So David Russell's the gentleman that owns the team I'm running with,
Yeah.
Automatic Racing.
Yeah.
When I was running at Skip Barber, he was one of the instructors, coaches. And there was another guy that I was one of the other drivers. This guy, Jeff Thornton, was also new to racing.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided he wanted to go on and do some sports car stuff. And he and David went off and started Automatic Racing. It was a BMW team at that point, M3s.
Okay. Yeah, I remember
And
that.
they went into, I think it was the Coney Challenge at that point.
Yep. Maybe like Grand Am ST.
ST or GS.
Okay.
But yeah, that,
Yeah.
it was I think it's Michelin Pilot Challenge is what it's called now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I met him then. They went on and won a championship at some point. And then Jeff kind of moved on with things.
Okay.
And David took over the team. And I hadn't seen him since then. But networking through Casey, had an opportunity to come try out one of those NPO1 cars
Yep.
this year in February at Eagle Dunes out in Texas.
Yeah.
Just outside of Dallas, Fort Worth. And man, what a car. So the majority of my experience was in the Miata. I did a couple races. Casey had a Cayman, a race prep Cayman.
Yep.
I did a few WRL events in
That red one,
and,
that 987.
What's that?
The red one, the 987.
Yeah, before that, he had a beautiful black and red one that was a really strong car that ended up going away, unfortunately, through
Okay.
some driver error. But
Yeah.
after that, he had the red one. So I got some seat time in that. But that was the majority of my time. And I had never been in a real downforce car.
Yeah.
So the NPO1 was a whole different learning curve. Pretty direct. It does exactly what you tell it to do,
Yep.
whether you like it or not.
Yep.
It's been a really cool experience. I've really enjoyed just the challenge
Yeah.
and just trying to see if I can adapt to something new.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I love the idea of an MPO1. I think, it's a low horsepower, downforce, very lightweight, but um, especially as a bit of a primer if you want to jump into P3, LMP2, something like that.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean, what a phenomenal way to start. And I don't think you really had a maybe radical, what is it, SR8? Maybe that
Yep.
was a good, or buying an old store car. Um,
I think I'm not too familiar with the radicals, but I believe the SR8 is quite a bit more
it probably actually, yeah.
horsepower
I
and
was, yeah.
performance.
When I
But
said
yeah,
that, then I thought SR3. I think the
yeah,
SR3 would probably be equivalent. But no, I love the idea. Is it still? It's Sebaco.
yep.
They were, uh,
Elon.
yeah, they were Elan, and it was being made in Brazelton, but now they're up in Indianapolis.
Correct. That's what I understand.
Okay, it's so interesting. I think, and it's neat
They
seeing.
kind of just taken it and run with it, continue to develop it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a pretty awesome platform.
yeah, it's neat seeing GTU class and WRL grow like it has.
Yes, I agree. When I first started with WRL, there was one. It was still in Elon at that point. Um, it was, I think it was like fluorescent orange over blue,
Yeah,
and it was like the only one out there. And then, came back this year and they've got their own class now and
yeah,
a pretty decent field. It's awesome.
yeah, yeah. No, that's neat. So you said you want to stay with it. What are your ambitions for 2026?
So, if I have the opportunity, I want to run with that. I I just love driving, right? And I
Yep,
love testing myself. So, if that opportunity is on the table, I'll run with it.
yep,
If there's like a GT4 opportunity, something that's um, a little bit more factory built, a little bit more stout,
yep.
that wouldn't be bad either.
Certainly.
I'm just going to see. I'm going to see what kind of opportunities there are.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and this is off the cuff. I don't really have any data to back it up, but I would imagine that some of those older gen like N4 GT4s, I think what is it, F82? I feel like
I believe.
those are likely. I would imagine that those seats might get cheaper as the new gen becomes more accessible and the new M2 Challenge series comes out, right? Have you seen the new M2 Challenge series?
No, no, I've
Okay.
heard a lot about all the stuff going on with Mustang. I have not heard about this
Yeah.
M2
So
series.
okay. So I think this is really cool. BMW guy. Um, M2 Challenge. BMW have reworked the M2 CSR. They've unveiled the M2 Challenge car, and it's going to be paired in the same race with the LMP3. So the 2 hour enduro that IMSA does with LMP3 now
Yeah.
is also going to have M2s in it.
Okay.
So a little bit of a multi-class. There's going to be 4 2 hour races, and that's the season for M2 Challenge. But new car, it's the B48 4 cylinder,
Okay.
but they're a bit lighter, and I think it's like 107. I want to say 107,000 per car. Uh, so price wise, like I mean, that's not ridiculous compared to the rest of racing and factory built race cars, right? So.
Yeah.
That might be something to check out.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the running cost is,
Of
like,
course.
per hour. What are the consumables? What are they ripping through? What does that cost?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So that's probably. I'm sure Casey has more info than I do. Um, but no, that's going to be neat to see. Let's see. I've got some fun questions. Well, first, before the fun, just I do want to touch on. You're a very fit, active guy. What are your when I met you, I think you had like, or were about to have maybe a neck surgery, and
It was spinal fusion, but it was lumbar. Yep.
wow, okay, and then after that, I saw you at Virginia, and you're ripped. So I'm like, Rob, what is going on? Like, you're super Rob now. So explain, what is your kind of mindset with that, and then how does that help you get in the car?
Yeah.
You know, I think physical fitness and really mental fitness is a big deal for racing. So
Totally
divulge.
agree. So I grew up, playing sports like everybody else,
Yep.
mostly track and cross country. I did play a little football my senior year. I made the team in college, ultimately
Oh wow. At Elon.
left. Yeah. As a tailback. Ultimately left and played rugby for 3 years.
Nice.
But you get to a point where some guys, I played on a men's league in Atlanta, and some of those guys are 40, 50 years old, still getting it done.
Yeah.
I don't have the genetics to be able to walk around at that age and do that. So I kind of transitioned to more endurance stuff like triathlons. So I ran some half marathons. I've done a full marathon. I was in the process. My goal was to ultimately do an Ironman.
Okay.
So I was in the process of training for that. Cycling was never an issue for me. I knocked out my first marathon, and then I was actually a passenger in a pretty severe car accident. Broke my left femur and dislocated my left hip, and had to have surgery. And at that point, and they think that was the accident that started the problem with my lower back.
Okay.
That ultimately ended in.
And was that on track or no?
No, I was a passenger. We were headed for a spring break trip. We were on 441 north, just north of Gainesville.
Yep.
And cruise control on, doing like 70. A car on the other side of the road crossed the median and hit us almost head on. I was the least critical in the car. The person that hit us ended up passing away. They think that they fell asleep with the cruise control on.
Yep.
Is what happened. But they got life flighted out, passed away. There were 3 other people in the car that were pretty banged up, pretty bad.
Yeah.
Everybody lived in our car, thank God.
Yeah.
But at that point, I had the surgery, and it took me about a month to be able to walk again. And the orthopedic surgeon said, you're not really going to be a runner anymore. So the whole Ironman ambition kind of went away. I got through rehab, and they were ready to discharge me. And I talked to the physical therapist, and I was like, listen, I don't need to just be able to walk. Like, I was an athlete. Like, I'll pay for, a little extra time. Let's get me, up and going.
Yeah.
So he did some more training with me and got me a lot more flexibility, a lot more explosivity. And I ran another half marathon almost 9 months to the day after that. I was like 3 minutes slower.
That is crazy.
So I kind of just kept that going.
Yeah.
The whole Ironman thing, I don't think would be good for my back or my hip at this point, because I'm probably going to have arthritis in that hip and need a replacement at some point. But I still do the half marathons. I cycle a lot. I run.
Yep.
But then when you come into endurance racing and these cars, even in a Miata, it's closed cockpit. The windows are open.
Yep.
But the flow through is not great.
Yep.
So when you're running a stint in the summer at Road Atlanta, it is miserably hot, even with a cool shirt on.
Yep.
And if you can be in good enough shape to double stint or sometimes triple stint, it's a huge advantage for the team. But that heat will fatigue you. And when you get fatigued, you get brain fade, you start making stupid decisions. So at this point, I try to train in the heat. We're in Florida.
Of course.
A lot of people will train in the gym. They'll run early morning. And I'll run when I get home from work when it's hot. I'll run midday on a Saturday. I'll work out in the garage, no AC. I just try to build up my heat tolerance. Of
course.
And I think that helps quite a bit. I did end up needing spinal fusion surgery. The back just broke down to a point. And I didn't know what it was at first. I was having lower back pain and pain in my left leg. So I tried losing weight. I did some yoga. I got improved core strength. Went to the chiropractor. They took x-rays and didn't mention that. They told me I needed 14 treatments, buy an inversion table, and it kept getting worse. And I went to a neurosurgeon, and he was like, do you need pain medication? And I was like, no. He's like, well, you need surgery. And if you were my brother, I'd tell you to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was working full time. So I had to find coverage for my office. And I basically missed 3 weeks of work and then slowly built back.
Yeah.
And then it's just been about trying to be durable and trying to be in good shape. So if an opportunity comes up, like to drive the NP01, I can do it. But heat training is important, like VIR at that 24 event that Eric was driving. Hot. I don't know if you recall, but one of the Champ Car officials came by our car during a pit stop, and he had an infrared thermometer.
Yeah.
And he shot it at the transmission tunnel, and it was 248 degrees in there.
It's insane.
So it helps if you can be in shape.
Of course.
You can maintain your consistency and your discipline a lot easier if you've got your cardiovascular endurance up.
Yeah, totally. I tell a lot of people, and it's something I work on. I'm in the sauna 4 or 5 times a week. I row, I do the skier machine, like an ape going ape shit. But VO2 max and getting up that heat acclimation and
Yep.
cardiovascular health. I mean, whether you're sprint racing and your heart rate is 175 for 40 minutes, which is insane, or you're endurance racing and you need to be in it for the long run, regardless, that and mental fortitude, I think, are two big ones for racing. Um,
Yeah, totally agree.
yeah. In the same vein, one last question. What are your we can flip this to everything someone gets right, or I'd like, what are the top three things that you think new drivers get wrong when they're coming out on track? If you had like three things to tell, if you had to coach the new guy, what would you say?
I mean, I guess if you're going to do like mixed class endurance racing,
Yep.
situational awareness is key.
Yep.
A lot of guys are probably trying to stay up to speed with the car.
Yep.
And maybe their capacity at that point is either slightly behind the car or just enough to be present in the moment. But you've got to learn how to drive out of your rearview mirror,
Yep.
out of your side view mirrors. You've got to be able to make adjustments on the fly as people are taking lines away.
Yep.
So I think it's, everybody wants to win, everybody wants to go fast. You need to leave yourself a reserve mentally and skill wise as best you can.
Yep.
Always leave yourself an out until you feel more comfortable.
Of course. Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's all about traffic management.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in some of these amateur, if you're in, I don't really quite consider WRL like truly amateur anymore, just
It
because
doesn't seem like it.
it does not seem like it. But let's say like you're in Champ Car or AER, majority of your driving is going to be, if you're really good, driving around, maybe some first timers or some out there for funners and I mean I love that they're all out there. Nothing bad about that at all. But it is traffic management, right?
Right.
And if you're gonna go cost effective racing, it's all about traffic management. So no, that
And in that
definitely
same
makes sense.
vein, I guess if I was going to talk to somebody that's heading out into their first event,
Yep.
the first thing you have to do is take care of the car, take care of the transmission. But then don't assume that the people coming up on you or the people that you're coming up on
Mm-hmm.
necessarily know what they're doing.
Of course.
Because they may be a little out of their depth. They may not see you. It's same kind of idea.
Yeah.
You just have to leave yourself an out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, neat. Look, I really appreciate your time. Do you have anything that you want to mention that we didn't cover?
Not that I can think of, man. I mean,
Other than the E46 M3 and the Blackwing behind you. Divulge, because I didn't know you had an E46 M3. Obviously, I'm a BMW guy. I dailied an E46 M3
Yep.
during college. I'm building an E46 wide body touring car right now. And then, believe it or not, God's honest truth, when my parents said you got $5,000 to buy your first car, which I'm very thankful for that they did that, I wanted a Cadillac CTS so bad. And so the Blackwing is like the cool version of that, right? So, yeah, how did you come about acquiring these vehicles?
Okay, so I mean, let's start with the M3.
Yep.
That's a 2005 competition pack.
Okay.
I graduated college around 02, and at the time, that was the car I wanted.
Yeah.
Like, you think you're going to come out of college and you're going to be making six figures immediately. I'm going to be a young hot executive.
Yep.
That was the car that I saw in Top Gear. That's going to be the one.
Yeah.
And so when I had the opportunity to start to think about a fun car, I started scouring the country looking for examples that had not been completely torn apart.
Of course.
And that one was actually at a dealership in Portland, Oregon.
Wow.
So I got that.
Did you fly up and drive it home, or did you ship it back?
What's that?
Did you fly up and drive it home, or did you ship it back?
No, it was shipped back.
Okay. That's probably better.
Yeah, had it delivered to a friend's. I've got a friend that has a performance shop.
Yeah.
Because they whenever you ship cars, I'm sure you experienced it. It's never there on the day it's supposed to be.
Of course.
They were supposed to come to my house, and it was
Yep.
supposed to be here on the day I was going to be available, and it showed up, much later in the middle of a work day. So we diverted the car just to make sure everything showed up as was promised before they offloaded it,
Yeah.
which was very helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pristine. It's got like 60,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily care if it was a competition pack. I just
Yeah.
wanted manual, and I wanted something that was well looked after.
Yep.
So that's been awesome, and that's it's a 2-door, but it's got back seats, so I can
Yeah.
still fit the family in it, and we
Totally.
can go have fun. I actually brought the kids to school in it today.
Heck yeah.
Uh,
That's
then,
really cool.
Again, we're car guys,
Yep.
but I've got a family, so when I'm looking at cars, I can't necessarily go get a Supra, because I'm the one that brings the kids to school in the morning.
Yeah.
So I had a Charger Hellcat that had back seats. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But eventually, I landed at the Blackwing. I found this one pre-owned at a dealership right near my house. The previous owner only put like 14,000 miles on it.
Okay.
It had been PPF'd. I mean, he babied it.
Yeah.
It looked and smelled brand new.
And is
it's
that a manual? Yeah, it's a manual 6.2.
6.2 liter.
Yeah.
Yeah, supercharged 6.2 liter, and that one is a manual. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's nuts. What a cool.
Yeah.
I would rather have that than new Corvette. I think.
I have to agree, man. It's so versatile.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
that's phenomenal.
It's got a good personality.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And you look like a G pulling up in it. There's no
It
way.
is- It sounds mean. I like it.
Yeah, neat. Well, look, I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I do want to
Certainly.
thank, none of this stuff works in a bubble, right?
Yeah.
So I got to thank the support of my family, my wife.
Totally.
I really want to thank Denton Car and Racing
Yep.
for getting me here, helping me build the experience, the opportunities, and automatic racing this season has just been an incredible, growing experience, and I had to pinch myself a lot this year. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. And you had some great picks out of the season. Some great videos. I think I don't know. Looks like you're having a good time. Looks like you're happy.
Yeah.
I think it's a big thing. Is coming to the track is a fun time, and it should be a happy. Even on a bad day, you should come away just smiling ear to ear that you got to be at the racetrack, right? And that's what it's looked like for Rob Pellosie this season. So I'm glad to see it. But
yeah, thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely couldn't happen without these guys that we know that are there to make sure we're safe and facilitate the best experience possible. So it's a good shout out. Yeah. Well, good. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. We'll touch base. We'll be in touch again.